And welcome back to the second half of the Factor Uncensored. Getting approved for a new home mortgage could become easier for so many people here in America. The Federal Housing Finance Agency has given the green light for new credit scoring models. FICO has been the standard for years. Now Vantage Score 4.0 and FICO 10T are in play. Both are considered to be much more inclusive. Here's America's credit repairman, Paul Oster.
So unfortunately, we're all under this monopoly of the FICO score, right? There's only basically one credit scoring model that's been being used in all underwriting, whether it's financing or insurance. Believe it or not, it's 90% plus in the entire world is using that one FICO scoring model. So the fact that the credit bureaus themselves developed their own scoring model, and that's called the Vantage Score, to give consumers a little bit of an edge in terms of things that we don't normally get credit for, like our utility bills, like our cell phone bills, like rental payments. So the Vantage Score, it is a much more robust credit score, but the problem is this. Just like with the FICO scoring model, they update their scoring model every couple of years, right? So the latest one was FICO model 10T, which had some good things in it, like medical collections were not going to be weighted towards the scores. The problem is this: banks hate change, and banks have the ability to use whatever scoring model that they want. So most banks, especially in the mortgage industry, are using the FICO 04 scoring model, which is, it's over, it's 15 years old. But the banks like it because they know what the predictability is going to be using that score. So they haven't adopted FICO 08, FICO 09, FICO 10. They're still using FICO 04. So this
would it take the government, would it take the federal government coming in to say, look, update your FICO score, not 04,
Of course,
but times.
Of course, but as we all know, the banking industry, the lobbyists in Washington D.C., unfortunately, super powerful people. So it's a balancing act. The government is walking a fine line in terms of how much pressure can they really put on the banks, right? So, but what they can do, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who buy most of the GSEs, the government-backed securities for mortgages, they could say, hey, look, you're going to have to include a certain percentage of borrowers that use the Vantage Score, or we're not going to buy your loans. And that might be the tipping point to actually get this thing pushed through.
And with the Vantage Score now, it's my understanding that would tend to help more African-American families around the country, right?
Yeah, because whether it's, black or brown, these families typically do not have as much access to credit to begin with. So then therefore their reports have a limited amount of credit history. They have a limited amount of accounts that are being reported on their credit reports. That, most of them are still looking for that first-time home buyer situation. So they've had a rental history for 5, 10, 20 years sometimes. They get no credit for that. And then certainly our utility bills and again, cell phone bills, look, technology is a great thing. There are companies out there now that can have your subscriptions reported on your credit report. They do it, in a circuitous way. It's not the actual companies like Netflix, Spotify, Hulu, all these crazy TV subscriptions, all the gaming subscriptions for our children. But they take all those subscriptions and they house it within their financial institution, and then they will report, the amount of dollars that you're paying each month to all of those subscriptions. So it's just another example, a great example how we could have things added to our credit report. But again, if the banks don't want to use the scoring model that is going to incorporate all of this stuff, we're kind of stuck where we started from in the first place.
But for those, in case the banks, start to change their mind and accept Vantage Score more than FICO score, or at least on the same playing field, what would be your advice to the consumer out there who doesn't have that much credit built up? Would you tell them to get their Vantage score and start adding their rent, their utility bills, what have you, to that score or to that scoring service?
Absolutely. So just like everything else, check your credit reports as often as possible. Right now, fortunately, under the CARES Act, this has been extended. So you can go to annualcreditreport.com, annualcreditreport.com, and get a free credit report every week. BC before COVID, it was once every 12 months. Now, listen, you do not get your credit scores, but you don't need your scores. What you need to do right now is make sure everything that's getting reported on those reports is 100% accurate. Then, they're just going to take that information and plug it into the FICO scoring model or the Vantage scoring model. If you want to build up your Vantage scoring model, go to VantageScore.com and start to add these types of accounts onto your report that's going to get reported, to the Vantage scoring model. So the consumers have some work to do here, and they have to be proactive about this. Look, if you're like me, right? I'm a certified FICO Pro. I've been the nation's credit repairman for over a decade. I miss, I don't always pay my gas payment during the summer because it's so little. I wait for a couple of them to build up and then I pay them all at once. Mm-hmm. But coming into this new situation, you have to make sure that your utilities are paid on time, because this is supposed to be a good thing. But if you're missing an electric payment, a 30-day late payment is a 30-day late payment. So the scoring model doesn't care whether it's your electric bill or your car bill. If you're missing those payments, this will not be a good thing for you. But if you're making all of those payments on time, this could be a great situation for you.
Well, you have that great motivator when it comes to your utility bills. If you don't pay, your lights are off. So
that's it.
All right, Paul, always good to see you. America's credit man, credit repair man. Glad to have you on the Factor Uncensored. For those who would like to get more information about you, Paul, where can they go?
Just go to betterqualified.com, betterqualified.com. Our consultation and credit analysis is free, and we can help you build up those reports, whether it's going to be for a FICO score or a Vantage score for sure.
All right. Thank you, sir. And thank you for joining us on The Factor tonight.